What's up, everybody? Ryan from Sports Card Radio, just hanging out here on a Friday looking at some steep declines in sports card prices over the last 6 months. And I kind of want to take you through a few key cards and walk you through if I was buying these cards, selling these cards. What if I bought these cards 6 months ago and I'm down 54%? What do I do? So, want to do that. But then toward the end of the video, I want to show you 3 cards that have gone up in value in the last 6 months and maybe, explain why that is or why I think that is. Okay, guys, let's just not waste any time. Jump right into it. 2018 Prizm Luka Doncic PSA 10. Boy, oh boy, this thing is down 54% in the last 6 months. And actually, if you tick it out a little further, like toward Christmas or New Year's, this thing was almost a $2,000 card. They have it at $1,679. You can get one right now for $760 or less. That's what they have the current price for. Wow. So this is a super, super hard card to own. Hard card to predict the price because you have a fast declining price, and the other kicker is you have an increased supply of this card continuously coming into the market. There are 17,100 PSA 10 versions. That is just an astonishing number, and that number just goes up week by week by week by week. You know, there's another 50 to 100 of these getting graded. PSA had a 10 million card backlog. How many were Luka's? Probably a ton of them. That's just the PSA 10. Of the PSA 9, there are 12,000 of those. Those have gone down 58% in the last 6 months. This is a 6-month chart. So that's a huge supply of these cards. Again, we're going to look at some other cards in a little bit that just dwarf this number. So if you're new to cards, and if you just started buying and selling cards, good Lord, guys, this is just a massive number. So, once you've seen some of the interest dry up on this card, you knew this was going to happen just because you had so many of these cards and the supply continuously comes up. So what would I be doing? What would I be doing? If I bought this card 6 months ago for $1,679 or even $2,000 and it's only $760, I'm selling it. I'm selling it. Why? There's a couple reasons. One, what's the catalyst to push this forward? How's this card going to go up in the before the next NBA season? You know, the Mavericks are going to have a tough time improving their team. They got some guys, Hardaway Jr., maybe their second best player, is a free agent. He's going to get a lot of money and get signed by somebody else, or they're going to have to pay up to re-sign him. Porzingis, you know, he's just never healthy. He never was the guy his first couple years in New York. He's even if you believe kind of what you're reading, taking shots at Luka. Maybe some other people are taking shots at Luka. Maybe Luka's maybe not quite so happy with the front office. We don't know what the real story is there. But man, you know, some of the interest in Luka's waned over the last 6 months. So hey, what's the catalyst to push this forward? And if I'm buying at $760, gosh, it's got to get out. It's got to get back up to like 1,000. If I'm selling it on eBay, I got fees and stuff, so it's got to go up back up to 1,000. How's this going to go up 25% in the next? How's this going to go up 20, 30% in the next few months? It just doesn't really make sense with the increased population supply. Look, this is a 1-year chart. This card's only up 10% for the year. So if you bought it for $690 or $700, after fees you're still underwater. This isn't Robinhood, guys, where you can trade stocks for free. You sell this card for $760 unless you sell it to your boy or some kind of transaction like that. You're going to pay probably 10% fees on this. So not good. Even over the 1 year, this doesn't look good, and over the rate of growth of the last 6 months is disastrous. So I'm taking this $760, even if I bought it at $2,000, and deploying it somewhere else. Guys, here's a good example. I bought these Michael Jordan cards. Again, this isn't sexy. This isn't something that's going to look good on Instagram. Hey guys, I bought a bunch of boo-boo 24 graded PSA Michael Jordan cards from 1989 to 93, and I paid $395 plus tax. I'm in for $430 or something like that. I'm gonna be able to turn these cards over in less than 30 days. I've sold tons of boo-boo Michael Jordan graded cards from $20 to $50 on up. And there were some PSA 9s in there that I'm gonna be able to get $40, $50 out of. Easy. Okay, not sexy. So I'm taking this $760, even if it's a huge loss for me, and I'm putting it into other cards and turning them over. This isn't stocks, guys. Don't treat this like stocks. Or you can treat it however you want. I'm just saying how I do it. I don't treat these like stocks. If I want to take $760 and, quote, invest it, I'm going to buy Tesla. I'm gonna buy Amazon. There's a charge point, electric car charging thing that I'm up like 10% on. I'll put money in there. Coinbase, the new had an IPO. They manage all the cryptocurrencies and stuff online. It's kind of like a cryptocurrency bank. I'll buy stock in that. I'll buy that stock and hold it. I'm not going to buy a Luka Doncic card that has more and more and more and more and more issued each day and look at it as an investment. If I was trying to buy a Luka Doncic card for $760, I'd be trying to flip it like 30 days later. Or, hey, what I'd do if maybe you still like Luka and you don't want to go put it into, you know, some Jordan cards. I'll give you another example in a minute what you can put money into. But hey, I like Luka. Buy cheaper Luka cards. There's all these like $20 to $30 Luka kind of base cards, little insert yards, third year cards that are coming on the market that people want. People are going to buy. So I'll take this $760 and do a similar thing like over here and buy a bunch of kind of low-end Luka cards and just start flipping and turn that money over. And so you'll take this $760 and turn this money over quicker instead of waiting for this mythical thing to happen in this chart to go back up to 1,000. Like, this is going to have to go up pretty high for you to make money on this singular card after fees. And there's no catalyst to do that in the next 6 months, unless he gets traded to the Lakers or something wild happens in his career or in his life. So I don't see that happening. I would be selling this card. Where is the price going to end up? Again, we'll talk about this card in a little bit. This is the PSA 10 Williamson from the next year. Current price, $379. Again, a similar pop on this. There's going to be more total Williamsons because Panini just ups the print run each year. So certainly in collectors' mind, they perceive Luka at this point in their life to be better than Zion. So there's no way, at least tomorrow, that the Luka drops below $379. So if Zion could, but here's the thing, if Zion keeps dropping, if this Zion goes to 250, then yes, this could easily, this is going to touch into the fives probably. So very scary card to own, very scary. I would not be purchasing it. And again, if I would bought this card even a few months ago, I would just be selling it at a loss because I could turn this money over even in this quote down market or this dip market. So what? I can still go buy some lower end cards and flip them. Flip cards, flip cards, flip cards. Okay? That's the way I look at it. If you want to sit here and buy 20 of these things and hold and wait for them to hit 2,000 again or hit 3,000 or go into this other stratosphere that we can't even see, be my guest. But that's just a lot of waiting. That's tying up a lot of capital. $760? I'd rather go buy these Jordan cards, get the money for that, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Here's another example of doing that. Here's 55 Tom Brady cards, so 110 Tom Brady cards for $11.59. Bought these in January of this year, so right before the Super Bowl. I have like 5 of these left. So these are all gone. Some of these I sold for like $150, by the way. Like, there was some good stuff in here. So instead of, buying a $760 card, I'd rather come over here for $11 and buy this. So if I bought in January, if I bought the Luka was at $1,500. So when I bought these Tom Brady's, this Luka was at $1,500. Again, way more sexy, way more cool to say, hey, I bought a Luka PSA 10. Ooh, I'm investing. Oh, I'm so awesome. Da 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 da. You're underwater $700. Meanwhile, I came over here, spent my $1,100 on 110 Tom Brady cards, sold them all, and oh yeah, you won the Super Bowl. So what do you think happened to most of them then? And kept turning that money over, Went and bought Michael Jordan cards, and kept doing it over and over and over again. That's the way I look at cards. That's the way, quote, I don't like to think about it as investing in cards, because if I'm investing money, I'm going to buy Coinbase, Amazon, Tesla, Apple, Google, big companies that make billions and billions and billions of dollars that I use myself, that I personally use myself. So again, huge supply of this card coming on. Here's 30 more coming on. This is crazy. So I would not be into this card. I don't even care what happens. Luka could go on to have a great career. Hey, this card could go back up to $2,000, but who cares? When will that be? That'll be a year from now. Guys, I will have turned over that $760 like 40 times over before this card goes back up to $2,000. And you think you're awesome because you bought this card and it went back up to $2,000 a year and a half later. Who cares? I'm going to give you an example of some. Here, let's just dive. Here's the optic. Okay, Prizm base 10, $760, right? Okay. Optic 10, $410. So collectors perceive this card to be, lesser than the Prizm. Only a pop of 4,000 on this, so this is just a lesser card, right? Gary V is over here over a year ago saying, "Hey, I'm buying Luka Optic PSA 10s for $350 a pop." Over a year ago, it's worth $410 now. So after fees, is he making any money? No. This guy's made way better investments than this. What, he's made like $10 after fees? And did he buy them all for did he buy them all for $350 if he had to pay more than that? After he tweeted that, shoot, these probably shot up to like $500. That's the 1 year chart. 6 month chart really bad on this. Down 50% on the optic. So again, people have looked at these cards kind of like assets or stocks, and it's just like, no, if I'm buying this Luka for $350, I'm trying to sell it tomorrow for $395. There better be, almost no fees on that. Or I'd rather take that $350 and buy a bunch of Jordan Boo-Boo cards, or buy a bunch of lesser, smaller Luka cards that turn over. There's a lot of interest in the hobby. Not a lot of people interested in paying $350 a pop, though. There's far more interest in paying, $20, $30, $40 a card, in my opinion. And there's less risk there. I'd rather have a bunch of these $20 Jordans sitting around than this Luka over the last 6 months, or this Luka, flat out. So there's Luka. Hey, Luka has a lot of fans. That's the thing too. Of the 17,000, though, Luka does have a lot of fans. I mean, he didn't even sign a lot of his Panini America cards. You can go look. There's a video in our feed. Panini, your Luka Doncic Panini autographs are fake. Watch that and decide for yourself. And card collectors and fans of Luka are still loyal to this guy, and he literally flips him the bird and gets his mom to sign his cards for him. So very, very dangerous to be owning anything. Hey, Luka's just an example. We're going to look at some other modern guys, and you can see the same chart. You could pull up almost any modern guy, and you see the similar downward trend in these cards. Super risky. Increased supply coming on the market of these cards, and you see a downward trajectory in price. So super, super risky. And hey, even a guy like Gary V, over a year ago, he's over here, thinking he's making this smart move buying these for $350 a pop. Guys, he's at break even at best. Break even at best on these. Let's look at another card, and this is why this modern stuff is so freaking scary, is because, hey, Trae Young's still in the playoffs. Whoa, wait a sec. Whoa. Drafted in the same year as Luka. Traded for each other, however that worked out. Less population, at least right now, on the Trae Young. You got to watch out for that. If there's 17,000 Lukas, there's 17,000 Trays too. So you got to be careful that if he ever caught fire, the pop would actually explode even more than it does on this card. And hey, even 9,000, that's a huge number. That's a huge number. So I can't even explain to you, this is just a massive, this is exceeds junk era. And that's just on the 10. That's just on the 10. There's 10,000. There's more nines of the tray, so they're harsher on the tray there. Harsher on the tray. So there's 20,000 of nines and 10s sitting out there. So that's crazy. This is down 45%, but he's in the playoffs. Shouldn't these be going up? No. Last 3 months down 28%. What about 1 month? Oh, 1%. 2 weeks, so slight growth. You've seen a very slight growth in this card. But again, if you bought this card a month ago, you're down when you equate fees into this. And if you bought 3 months ago thinking you were, quote, smart, buying before the playoffs, and you thought, hey, the Hawks will make a playoff run. Well, you're right there, but hey, the card's down 28%. And again, when you zoom out 6 months, you're down 45%, and even a year, you're up 21%. But again, after fees, you sell a card for $300. What are your fees on that? 30, 40 bucks? So now, if you bought it for $250, you literally make 10 bucks. Guys, I'd rather go buy all these Jordans and just go turn them over 40 times, 50 times, over and over and over again. So I don't get the investment thing, because we've seen what a bad strategy over 1 year on this card. This isn't like Robinhood. There's no free transactions in sports cards. Even if you go to a show, what's your setup fee? You're driving there, this. And even if some guys on a Facebook group, and you can sell, can you really do that all the time with all your stuff? And can you scale that business to be big? No, you can't do that. So bad news on these modern cards, because even on somebody like Trey, who in theory should have room to grow. His is only $300, and Luka's at $760. Is Trey half the value, half the player as Luka? I don't know. You can decide that for yourself. But he's in the playoffs, and we're seeing not much growth at all. And when you equate fees, you're still down. Here's another guy still in the playoffs. His team came through clutch in the final minutes there, and they came through. They forced a Game 7 against the Nets. Giannis Antetokounmpo, what a massive drop in this, and the dollar value too is just huge on this. Down 63% in the last 6 months. This was a $4,000 card. Now you can get one for around $1,400, $1,500. If you zoom out 1 year, you're still down massive on this card. You had a huge run up. Boy, if you sold up here, you look like a genius. Sold at $7,000. And we've just seen the bottom fall of it. Look at the pop on this, though. Look at the pop. This is what should scare the death out of Luka collectors. 2,500. 17,000. So again, hobby newbies. They weren't making they were sending me boxes for free. Panini at this point was sending me boxes of free Prizm at this point. I pulled the Kyrie Irving gold 2 of 10 Prizm refractor and sold it for like $5,000 for a Panini box they sent me. But anyways, I digress. So back then they weren't making very many cards. Nobody wanted this stuff. You could find this stuff easy all day. Get into a break all day. And Antetokounmpo wasn't. It took him a couple years for people for his game and his body to kind of look how skinny he is. I mean, geez, it looks like a totally different guy now. Really got to zoom out pretty far, but again, nobody was really buying these. There's probably a way to bring up volume. Nobody was buying these cards back then. So, and even still, you bought this card for $400, and now it's only worth, it's worth $1,400 in 2 years. There's way better investments that you could have made 2 years ago that would have went up more than that, or more impressive. So any way you zoom this chart out, this looks bad. And this is another Gary V card. Just bought 20 more Greek Freak rookies at $460 a pop. I started at $180. Again, this is in May 2019. So hey, this is an example of, hey, he's up on these. If he bought these, this is over 2 years ago. He bought 20 at $465. They're worth, let's call it $1,465. So if they're worth $1,000 more each than he paid. Okay, golf clap, but that's still 2 years ago. Could you have been doing the same thing if you've just been flipping, boo-boo Michael Jordan cards or boo-boo Tom Brady cards? Yeah, of course you could. More work, but he's probably got, Gary's the type of guy that's probably got somebody, sitting there, doing this all this for him. Look, he took a screenshot. He won these, but it says, sorry you missed out on this item. So he's literally got somebody sitting there bidding on this stuff for him. And they texted him, and he was like, yeah, I won this auction. After tax and stuff, if he got taxed in this, and there could be shipping, so he's closer to actually probably $500 each on those. But even still, he's only up $1,000 each in 2 years. But again, you can go back over here. He's buying these at $350 a pop, and he's underwater or break even. So that's what's scary about, unless you've got tons of money like Gary and can just blow it and whatever, you got to be a little careful about, buying these cards as quote an investment. He can afford to just, lose, the bottom to fall out of these cards and not care. You maybe can't. You maybe will be out of the hobby and totally gone, or your credit card will be blown up, or whatever. Your wife will leave you, or whatever. So this is real stuff. Again, I would rather turn money over quickly and just. I come from a buying and selling sports tickets perspective, where again, once the game starts, I don't care how good a ticket you got. It could be worth zero. You may not even be able to sell it. Certainly once the game's, into the second or third quarter, you're not selling it and the value just decrease down to zero. Not true with sports cards. The Antetokounmpo and these cards aren't going to go to zero, but they're probably going to decline more. Again, you can take this $1,400 and deploy it better. There's still interest in sports cards. There's still huge interest in sports cards, even though we've seen, money and interest fall out of it a little bit over the last 6 months, certainly. But, there's still interest, and I think it's more on that lower to mid end and different cards. Again, we're talking even 2,500 is a huge pop on this card. I don't know how many nines there are. 1,000. So again, we're not talking relative to the Luka and these other ones. We're not talking about a lot here, but 2,500, that's still a fair amount, even if Gary V's clutching 500 of them himself. So very, very, very scary. I would not be buying any of these cards. And again, if I'm underwater to these cards, I'm selling them. And I'm just continuing my sports card journey by learning to turn over cards quickly. Don't sit and hold cards unless you're emotionally attached to them. That's what people did with the vintage cards and the Mickey Mantle cards. They were emotionally attached to them. So unless you're emotionally attached to Giannis or Luka, there are a lot of people are. Again, he didn't even sign his autographs. So, I mean, there's clearly people who are emotionally attached to this guy and buy autographs that he probably didn't even sign and paid good money for. Here's a card back in December that sold, again, right if you go back to in December, this was a $4,000 card, okay? So it's down 67% since December. So if you go back to December, somebody bought the one-of-one version of this for $1.1 million. Oh, boy. What if that card, you think that card is worth $400,000 now? So that the bottom, woo! So whoever bought this card, and I get that it's a one-on-one, I get that it still has value. It maybe hasn't tanked, as much. It maybe hasn't tanked 67% like the base version. I get it, but it's not. This card is now worth $1.1 million. Now, hey, they forced the game 7. They could win. Giannis could, dunk all over Durant and have people talking about, oh, maybe he's at least as good as Durant. And then, this is a wacky NBA season. This guy could go on and do some things. The Bucks have no bench. They're playing like, 4.5 guys. Their second players, Middleton and Holiday. I wouldn't exactly, trust in a clutch scenario or over the course of a series. But again, what they have to go through to get to the finals and win the finals, you never know. But hey, they got a tough game 7 in New Jersey, and Durant is not going to come up cheap. At least I wouldn't think he's going to come up cheap. So, but you never know. Crazy NBA season, anything can happen. But again, $1 million in December. Scary, scary, scary. Has this card gone down 67%? Whew, wow. That scary. Moving on. And again, I don't want to, again, we can see the same, 50, 60% drop in this card. The one reason why I brought this card up is because I wanted to circle back to Luka. And another scary reason if you're holding this card, the Luka card. What if in the next year or two, the perception of NBA fans and card collectors is that Zion's better than Luka? I'm not saying that is the case or that will happen, but that's not outside the realm of possibility. This guy's an unbelievable player. They could get the right coach. They could get the right situation. Imagine if Chris Paul played with Zion. First of all, they'd probably be in the finals, and Zion would look like Shaq on steroids in the best shape of his life. I mean, it'd be unbelievable. So if you put the right people around Zion, get the right coach, get the right circumstances in the right situations, he's got to be in shape. He's got to be, he's got the same some of the same issues as Luka with his body conditioning and so forth. But what if the perception is, oh my God, Zion's actually the next guy and the next big thing, and it's not Luka? What would happen? Would these values flip? Current price here at $379 on the Zion. Would this, could you see? God, this could easily, if you see that perception change, one, you'll see at some point they'll level off in price, because that'll be a struggle. That'll be like a battle. Like, oh no, Luka's still better than Zion. Luka's still better than Zion. Luka's still better than Zion. And you can compare these cards because there are more Zions than Luka's, but it's not a huge number. It's not like the gap in this. It's not like this where there's 2,500 Giannis's compared to 17,000. These are going to be comparable. They're certainly going to end up being more Zion 10s for sure. So that's another worrisome thing if you were a Luka, guy, is that at some point does Zion kind of surpass him? And is that even possible? And then what would happen to the value of the prices? So again, with this Zion, I'm not buying it at $379. Again, I would buy, and I have done this, buy lower end Zion cards. Again, I don't have the time to bring it up, or I should have brought it up. Maybe showed you some of the ones I've actually bought of him. And you kind of got to get lucky and pick through, but buy some lower end ones and sell them for, a lower end price. I did this even at a card show. I bought one at the Dallas card show that I flipped on eBay. Bought it for 20, sold it for like 30, 40 bucks. Boom, money. So that's what I would be doing with this money. I guess if this got into I don't know what it would have to get to. And I don't know if it's ever been in that price range. The lowest it's really ever been, I guess, is where it's at about now. It's actually at almost this card's almost at about in an all-time low. I mean, these transactions back here, not a huge amount of volume. So we're literally at like an all-time low on this card. It'd probably have to, though, dip into the twos. I mean, it's just a huge supply on this. It's just scary buying this card because it's like, God, even if he was amazing, you just have more and more and more. And you have a lot of this stuff still unopened. That, God, it's just, compared to other cards you could get into, it's just, just not my thing. And again, way better ways to deploy this capital. Let's look at a few cards that have gone up in value over the last 6 months. And I didn't buy a PSA 9 version of this, but I bought one of these recently and resold it. Here's a PSA 9, Dennis Rodman. Not a huge pop on this. It's 2,100 cards. It's an old card, so again, there's not going to be like, this card isn't going to turn into the Luka. And there'll be 17,000s of these will be magically showed up. This is not going to happen. So this is a safer card to, quote, invest in, regardless of what you think of Rodman. Okay, first of all, regardless of what you think of Rodman, this is a safer card because you know what the supply is. Again, there's not going to be freaking 10,000 of these show up one day. They'll be fake. Like, that's just not going to happen. So you kind of know how many there are, and now you've seen the price. The price has increased. It increased to the point to where if you bought it at 160 and sold it at 240, even after fees, you're making good money there. Like, I would do that all day. I would do that all day. I buy a card for 160 and sell it for 240. I'd do that all day. If we zoom out over a year, again, still not too bad. Maybe you're making a little bit of money, but 17% after fees, it's close. I bet if you look over 2 years, this is incredible. Because you had The Last Dance. Here's The Last Dance, right? So pre-Last Dance, this was not a hugely popular card. And then once The Last Dance happened, and then you had a little bit of decline post-Last Dance, but then you had another pop. And then it's declined again. So this is a card actually long-term I think could certainly retest some of these highs in here. Certainly. It's literally high. This card is worth more than when The Last Dance was going on. This card is worth more. So long term, I like this card because I think, again, some of these new people, a lot of them are going to leave the hobby because they're going to get washed out one way or the other, either owing PSA money or just losing money buying all these, super high pop cards. But some of these guys are going to stick around, and they're going to, if they look at cards like I do. First of all, I like Dennis Rodman. Okay, I like Dennis. This thing's going to be out of this world. I mean, a 10 in this. I mean, shoot, if somebody wanted to sell me a 10 for $2,000-$3,000, I'd probably buy it because it's super hard to find, and there's only 218 of them. So yeah, sign me up because that's going to be worth way more than, in my opinion, that's going to be worth more than that. Certainly sometime in my lifetime. And it wouldn't take a lot of thought process to figure out why a card like this could go up in value. We've seen it happen with the documentary, and then we even seen it, why did it go up? And just cause. And yeah, it's come down. If you look, certainly from 650, it's come down. If you bought this card for 650, you're not feeling that great. You're not feeling that great about it. But I'd certainly rather be underwater on this card than any of these freaking cards. Because I have confidence, and and $245. I mean, sign me up. I bought lower grades, and into the lower grades, you could buy this card really cheaply. There's not a lot of these cards. So again, last 6 months, you've actually seen an increased value in this card. This is another one. Joe Montana, I love this guy. Have some cards of him myself that are nice and that I kind of clutch and hold on to and fondle and stuff. But again, pop on the here. We're looking at a PSA 8 just because I think it's, some of the, once you start getting into the higher grades, the multiple of price just really escalates. So this is something you could get into because, again, 7,000, not a lot, again. And there's never a day where this gets to 17,000, right? So you kind of know, okay, this card is in this range, right? Because you don't see this huge spike. These are not like big numbers, like an increase in supply of this card in 8 condition. A lot of these are regrades, and who knows what the actual true population of this is. But hey, you kind of know, hey, this is where I'm at. And again, over the last 6 months, you're up 24%. After fees, yeah, you're making money there. Even after fees in the last 6 months. Oh, let's look out over 1 year. Ooh, 1 year is really good. Look at 1 year. And what has Joe Montana done in the last year? Nothing. And that's the greatest thing about some of these old guys. It's just the appreciation of the card. People then are looking at what people are paying for this modern stuff and being like, wait a sec, if you're paying $1,200 for an Antetokounmpo, I mean, gosh, give me 3 Joe Montana 8s for 1 Antetokounmpo. Like, I'll do that trade right now. Like, if I had an Antetokounmpo 10 and somebody wanted to give me 3 Joe Montana rookie card 8s, I would sprint to this person and do this, right? You look over 2 years, I mean, this is incredible. So this is a card, again, pretty high pop on this. Man, they made a lot of cards back in 81. But again, a card over the last 6 months that kind of has weathered this storm that some of the modern cards didn't. Here's another card. Guy never won a Super Bowl. Joe Montana actually beat in a Super Bowl. But, another card. Again, we're not talking about huge growth or even enough to cover your fees, but another card that we haven't seen a huge decline in price. And actually, if we zoom out 1 year, you've seen actually, here's the increase. And this card has held value. Pop on this again, 3,600. This is a PSA 9, PSA 10. I mean, this will be out of this world probably. Yeah, $4,000. Only 383 of these. So yeah, if you ever shoot, some of these older cards in this because they don't come out of the pack, as a 10 like they do now. I mean, they come out of the freaking pack at 10. Obviously. Back in these days, and they grade these cards a little harsher, and you just look at them. You can spot, if you look at these cards closely, and even this one that's a 9, it looks pretty good, but it even looks maybe just a hair off center. Again, you'd have to zoom in and really look at that specific card. But here again, rate of growth, 168%. Not very many of these cards, but a card you can find. It's not like this is an impossible card to find. And again, once you get into the 8s and the 7s and stuff, you've probably seen a similar rate of growth on the lower end stuff. Again, that's what I sell mostly. It's like lower tier stuff. you're immune to some of this huge drops in decline when you're selling some of this stuff that's like mid-tier, that doesn't have huge pops. When you get into this stuff that's sexy and looks cool because Gary's tweeting about it and Gary's buying them, Gary's on Twitter, Gary bought one from me, ooh, I made money off Gary. Then you lose any kind of interest, or you lose any kind of steam in the market, or cards, or just these specific cards, or even the specific players. You know, shoot, what's going to happen to Giannis if he loses that game 7? He looks like crap. He misses a couple clutch free throws, or Durant just goes off. And it's so clear to everyone that Durant's in this other stratosphere that Giannis will never get to. Giannis will never, ever be better than Durant. So if Giannis isn't better than Durant, what you paying $1 million for a guy he's not even better than Durant? And then, let alone if we start talking about Jordan and Bill Russell and Will and Kobe, and in my opinion, Shaq in his prime was as good a player as we've ever seen. So I mean, come on, guys, who the heck is Antetokounmpo? And if he only wins a couple MVPs and he never wins a title, I wouldn't want to be holding this card. Wouldn't want to be holding this card, because even then that'll look like a huge, it looks like a low pop when you compare it to this, but this would just look worse and worse and worse if he amounts to just being a very, very, very good NBA player, and you'll see this thing level off and be worth less than $1,200. So guys, that's about all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this and at least got a little bit of value with it. Just kind of want to explain my personal thought process and how I look at cards. I look to turn over cards really quickly and not sit on these things. Some of these people are looking at them as, quote, investments. I mean, hey, if you're Gary and you got money and you don't care and you can stack these things up in safes and Pelican boxes, go right ahead. A lot of you, I don't think, are in that position and got to be a little more careful. And in my opinion, I would get into the turning this money over quickly, and only really holding and keeping very, very few cards. Like, I have a very small box, like less than 10 cards of cards that I'm, quote, holding. Like, very, very few. But I have several thousand for sale, like literally like tens of thousands of cards on different platforms, whether it be eBay, ComC, Mercari, a bunch of different PWCC, Vault and stuff. I could at some point I could bring that up, but hope this was of value to the guys. We'll be back. Check out sportscardradio.com. At the top of the page I have a link to all the card shows that are going on that I update every week, so it's updated. And if you know of a card show that I don't have on there, send it to me. Please send it to me, either on Facebook, or there's a text number on Sports Card Radio, there's email, like Twitter, whatever. Reach out to me. We'll be doing lots more videos leading up to the national call, and I will be doing them. We're in secret location 1 in California. We'll be in secret location maybe later. I don't know if I'm going to go up there this weekend, but pretty soon up in secret location 2 in California. And we'll be in Vegas. We'll be setting up in Las Vegas at the Las Vegas Card Show. I think it's October 22nd through the 24th. Don't quote me. Go to Sports Card Radio. There's a link to, and you get a show flyer. But we'll be setting up at that show and be selling cards. And so come hang out with us. And until then, be smart with your stuff. Luka, he still didn't sign his Panini stuff. Later.